So the Inchcape Rock is a ballad. Ballad is a narrative poem, and it is the story of 14th century attempt by the abbot of the Aberbrothok, that is the head of the monastery of Aberbrothok, to install a warning bell on east coast of Angus. On the east coast of Angus, this badly known sandstone rock is about 11 miles, that is 18 kilometers away, the east coast of Angus, Scotland, near Dundee and Pipe, occupied by the Bell Rock Lighthouse, and it is occupied by the Bell Rock Lighthouse. Okay. Southey was inspired by the legendary story of a pirate who removed the bell on the Inchcape Rock placed by the abbot of Aberbrothok. Southey was motivated, Southey was inspired, he was motivated by the story of a pirate. Pirate, you know, a thief on the sea, a robber on the sea is called as pirate. So Robert Southey was inspired by the legendary story of a pirate, a sea thief, a sea robber, who removed the bell on the Inchcape Rock placed by abbot of Aberbrothok. So at that time, when there was no lighthouse, abbot of Aberbrothok, the head of the monastery of Aberbrothok, had placed a bell on that rock to warn the ships that would pass nearby that there is some danger there. But the pirate removed that bell because he was evil-minded, and bad people do not like any good things. The poem gives us a message that those who do wrong things will meet with due punishment. The poem gives us a message that those who do wrong things will meet with due punishment. So, as you sow, so shall you reap. We say, as you sow, so shall you reap. Means, as you will do, we will suffer. Right. So, no steer in the air, no steer in the sea. The ship was as still as she could be. Her sails from heaven received no motion. Her keel was steady in the ocean. Without either sign or sound of their shock, the waves flowed over the Inchcape Rock. So little they rose, so little they fell. They did not move the Inchcape bell. The abbot of Aberbrothok had placed that bell on the Inchcape Rock. On a buoy in the storm, it floated and swung, and over the waves, its warning rung. Okay. So let us see these three stanzas first. No steer in the air, no steer in the air, no movement in the air, no steer in the sea, no movement in the sea also. The ship was as still as she could be, and the ship was as still, as unmovable as it could be. As there was no wind, the ship was not moving. In old days, the ship would move because of the wind, and when there would be no wind, then the ship would not move. Okay, no problem. Listen to me carefully. So the ship was as still as she could be. Her sails from heaven received no motion. And I told you, sail would be the long cloth that would be placed vertically on the ship, and it would resist the wind, and in that process the ship would be moved from one place to another. But when there would be no wind, then the ship would stop, because at that time there were no engines, there was no air and no steer in the sea, no movement in the sea also, and no movement in the air also. So there was nothing to propel the sail forward, and so the ship was still and it was standing at one place. The sail from the heaven received no motion. The sail was receiving no wind, received no motion, means no wind. Sail received no wind, and so it was not moving. And her keel was steady in the ocean. Keel means the triangular bottom part of the sea. The triangular bottom part of the sea. So it was steady in the ocean without either sign or sound of their shock, and there was neither sign nor any sound of their shock. The waves flowed over the Inchcape Rock. The waves were flowing over the Inchcape Rock, and they were not making any sound or they were not creating any shock. The waves flowed over the Inchcape Rock, so little they rose, so little they fell. They were neither rising nor falling very high. They were neither rising nor falling. They did not move the Inchcape Bell, and they were not moving the Inchcape Bell. But yes, the Inchcape Bell was placed on the rock. The abbot of Aberbrothock had placed that bell on the Inchcape Rock. On a buoy in the storm, it floated and swung, and over the waves, its warning rung. During storm, when the sea would be stormy, when there would be wind and storm, there would be waves, and because of the movement of those waves, the bell that was installed on the rock would be moved side to side, and that would create sound, and that sound of the bell would warn the ships. That sound of the bells would warn the ships when there would be storm. So during the stormy time, when there would be waves, and probably the captains, the navigators would not be able to see the rock because of the waves, movement of the waves, and the wind and storm and maybe darkness. At that time, at least they would be able to hear the sound, and they would become alert and stay away from that rock. So the abbot of Aberbrothock had installed an Inchcape bell on the rock, on the Inchcape Rock. Okay. On a buoy in the storm. On a buoy, floating object anchored in the sea to mark dangerous places. Here, buoy is a floating object installed in the sea to mark danger. Buoy means float. Here it is floating object. B-U-O-Y, buoy means float. And buoyant means enthusiastic, cheerful. But buoy means floating. The abbot of Aberbrothock had placed that bell on the Inchcape Rock. On a buoy in the storm, it floated, and it would be floated in the storm. On the buoy in the storm, it floated and swung. Swung is a past tense. It is a past tense of swing. Swing means to move from side to side. And over the waves, its warning rung, and its warning would ring everywhere when there would be waves and storm. So the abbot of Aberbrothock had placed that bell on the Inchcape Rock on a buoy, on a floating object in the storm. So on a floating object, it might be wood, or it might be some rubber filled with air. Abbot of Aberbrothock, obviously a religious man, must be the head of the monastery, must be religious and good person. So he thought good of society and humanity and placed a bell on a buoy, thinking that people would be able to save their lives and the ships would be protected, because this would warn the ships about the danger. Okay. So when the rock was hit by the surge swell, the mariners heard the warning bell, and then they knew the perilous rock and blessed the abbot of Aberbrothock. So when the rock was hit by the surge swell, when the waves would rise, when there would be storm, and the rock would be hidden below the waves, the mariners would hear the warning bell. The mariners used to hear the warning bell, and then they would realize that there is a danger. They would understand that there is a dangerous rock Perilous means dangerous. And bless the abbot of Aberbrothock. And they would bless the abbot of Aberbrothock. They would thank the abbot of Aberbrothock and they would say, God bless to abbot of Aberbrothock. Because of him, we are saved. Right? They may not be knowing that it was abbot of Aberbrothock who has placed that bell there. The sun in the heaven was shining gay. The sun in the heaven was shining gay. All things were joyful on that day. The sea birds screamed as they wheeled round, and there was joyance in their sound. The sun in the heaven was shining gay. Gay means happy. The sun, here in this context, gay means happy. The sun in the heaven was shining gay. Sun was brightly shining, happily shining in the sky. And all things were joyful, all things were happy. And that day, the seabirds screamed as they wheeled round. And as the seabirds wheeled round, as the seabirds moved around the sea, they screamed. Screamed to make sound, to screech. Scream chillana, आवाज करना. The seabirds were making sound as they wheeled round, and there was joyance in their sound, and there was joy in their sound. They were screaming with joy, and the atmosphere was pleasant, and there was sun in the sky. The heaven means the sky. The boy of the Inchcape bell was seen a darker speck, and the floating object that was kept floating on the sea above the Inchcape rock, that could be seen as a speck on the ocean green. On the green ocean, one could see that there was a dot. There was a dot, and that dot was nothing but the buoy. Buoy, that is the floating object on which the bell was installed. Bell, ghanti. Right, a bell was installed, a bell was tied, and when that floating object would move, that bell would make sound. But that day it was quiet, and that bell was also, that buoy could be seen as a floating dot, as a darker speck on the ocean green. Sir Ralph the rower, the pirate, walked his deck, and he fixed his eye on the darker speck. The boy of the Inchcape was seen a darker speck on the green ocean. On the green ocean, that darker speck could be seen. Sir Ralph the rower, a sea pirate. Sir Ralph the rower was a sea pirate. Sir Ralph the rower walked his deck, and he fixed his eye on the darker speck. And he fixed his eye on the darker speck, darker dot that he could see on the green ocean. He felt the cheering power of the spring. It made him whistle. It made him sing. His heart was mirthful to excess. But the rower's mirth was wickedness. Mirth means joy, happiness. Rower, a sea pirate. So his joy, a villain's joy is a wickedness, cruelty. When a villain is happy, he does something cruel. So he felt the cheering power of spring. It made him whistle. When he saw that dot from his ship, he suddenly felt cheerful and he whistled. It made him sing, and he was so happy that he started singing. His heart was full of joy, mirthful. It was mirthful to the excess. He was very happy to see that boy with a Inchcape bell, with a bell installed on it. But the rower's joy was wickedness. Rower's joy was cruelty. His eye was on the Inchcape float. His eyes were fixed. He was staring at the Inchcape float. He was staring at the boy. Means the float on which that bell was installed. It made him, his eyes was on the Inchcape float. Quoth he, my man, put out the boat and row me to the Inchcape Rock, and I will plague the abbot of Aberbrother. He said, he ordered his men. He said, my man, put out the boat. Now, he was sitting in a big ship. He told his men, lower down a boat, because to go to a small object in the ship, to go to the surface of a sea, one needs to go in a boat, small boat. From a tall ship, it is not possible to touch the sea. So to go to the rock, Inchcape Rock, and to touch that bale and a floating object, he ordered his men to lower a boat, small boat. His eyes was on the Inchcape float, quoth he. Quoth means said. Yeah, you must have seen, if you have heard Bhagavad Gita. I say, and Arjun Uwach, Bhagwan Uwach. That Uwach means said, and that in English, that is quoth. His eyes was on the Inchcape float, quoth he, my men, put out the boat and row me to the Inchcape Rock, and I will trouble the abbot of Aberbrother. I will irritate the abbot of Aberbrother. I will trouble him. I will make him irritate. And the boat is lowered, and according to his instruction, the boat was lowered. The boatman rowed, and the boatman started rowing. Rowing? You know, when you sit in the boat, if it is not a motor boat, there are oars. There are oars, and with the help of those oars, he moved ahead. Right? His men rowed the boat, the boatmen row, and to the Inchcape Rock they go, and they went near the Inchcape Rock. Sir Rolf bent over from the boat, and Sir Rolf bent over from the boat, and he cut the bell from the Inchcape float. See the villain. He cut the bell from the Inchcape float. From the Inchcape buoy, he cut the bell. And as there was no bell now, if suppose there would be a storm in future, would anyone be protected? Would there be any warning? No, there would not be any warning in future if there is a storm, because Sir Ralph the rower, the pirate, cut the bell from the Inchcape float, and therefore there would be no warning bell in future. So he took his men from his ship. He saw the dot on the green seawater and told his men to lower a boat and go near that dot. And he saw that it was a buoy, a float on which the Inchcape bell, warning bell, was installed. And he cut that bell from that float, and the bell must have sunk to the buoy. A floating object is a buoy here, B-U-O-Y. Okay, let us see stanza number 4, students. What is the similar of blessings? What is the similar of blessings? Come on, fast. The archaic word blessed, Old English. Hast means has. Hath means has or have. Okay, thou, T-H-O-U, means you. Right? So blessed is also an archaic word, students. When the rock was hit by the surge swell, sudden rise in the level of water. Sudden rise in the level of water. Sudden surge. Surge swell. Actually, surge means move ahead with great speed. But here surge swell means great rise in the great and sudden rise in the level of water in the sea. Right? So when the rock was hit by the surge swell, the meaning is, you must be knowing that sujana. If you have some injury on your body, that part grows in size. That is swelling, sujana. And here swell means the water level, the size of the water increases, the level of the water increases. That is a swell, right? So when the rock was hit by the surge swell, the mariners heard the warning bell. The mariners would hear the warning bell, and then they knew the perilous rock. What do you understand by perilous, students? Come on, fast. Perilous. Yes, Tanishka, Rajdandini, Aryan. Perilous. Perilous means dangerous.
Dangerous.
Yes. Perilous means dangerous, hazardous. You can remember another synonym. Hazardous, risky. Okay. See stanza number 5. The sun in heaven was shining in. Heaven. What is called as heaven? Which figure of speech is it? Is there a heaven in the sky? We have seen it?
Noun.
No. So, what is called as heaven? The sun in heaven. The sun is in sky. So naturally, the sky is implicitly compared with heaven. So the sky is supposed to be heaven. The sky is supposed to be heaven. Okay. The sun in heaven was shining gay. All things were joyful that day. The seabirds screamed as they wheeled round, and there was joyance in their sound. Rhyme scheme again you can see AABB. Now see stanza number 6. Is there any poetic device used in this stanza? Just have a quick look, students. These are, but yeah, rhyme scheme is there. Now the same rhyme scheme in all stanza. You find AABB, AABB. Complete poem is written in the same with the same rhyme scheme. So that's the art of poetry, right? The poet decides that what form he would use. Sometimes it would be AB. Sometimes it would be AABB. Sometimes it would be only a heroic couplet, means two lines stanza, right? What is the similar of a dot? What is the similar of a dot? Come on, fast. Dot. Yes, Prathamesh. A dot. Speck. What is it? Speck. A place on the ship, either front or back side of the ship, where there are benches kept and people can sit and relax themselves. What is it called? Yes, students. It's just like your terrace or a gallery, right? And the people just sit on that front triangular part, on the sides of that front triangular part or the back side. There are some benches kept and people just come and stand there or sit. So that part is called as deck. Remember. Okay. See stanza number 7. Just a minute. Sir, right now I am taking the class. I will call you. Okay. So he felt the cheering power of spring. It made him whistle. It made him sing. His heart was mirthful to excess, but robber's mirth was wickedness. Wickedness. Robber's mirth was wickedness. What's the similar of cruelty? Unkindness. Yes, students. Similar of unkindness. Similar of unkindness. That is wickedness, right? Dushtata. All right. So here you can see, students, the word whistle. What kind of word is this, students? He made him whistle. Whistle. right? The sound itself tells the meaning of the word, suggests the meaning of the word. For example, tan tan, bun bun, gurgling, jingling, ding dong, ting tong, tick tock. These are the words. They suggest, their sound gives, their pronunciation gives the clues to their meaning. Buzz, right? So these kind of words are called as onomatopoeia. They are onomatopoeic words. And this figure of speech is called as onomatopoeia. O-N-O-M-A-T-O-P-O-E-I-A. Onomatopoeia. These are onomatopoeic words. Whistle. Okay, what is the similar of joyful? Similar of joyful? Come on, Pa. Joyful? Mirthful. Joyful, mirthful. Please do write the meaning, students, right? And whatever new I tell you, please note it down, so that when you read it on your own, you will not have any difficulty. Okay, what is the similar of said? Next stanza. Similar of said. Similar of said. Quoth. What is it?
Quoth.
Quoth. Quoth is an archaic word. Quoth is an archaic word. Archaic means ancient word. What is the similar of trouble? Trouble. Trouble.
Plague.
No, very good. I will trouble the boat of Aber brother. The boat is lowered, the boatmen row, and the Inchcape Rock they go. Now you can see here, students, this is not a normal sentence. We generally what will we say? The boat was lowered. The boatman lowered the boat, or the boat is lowered by the boatman, and they go to the rock, or they went to the rock. That way we will say. But here, and the Inchcape Rock they go. They go to the Inchcape Rock. Instead of that, what he has said, and to the Inchcape Rock they go. So this is not a normal sentence. This is not a correct prose sentence. This is not a correct grammatical prose order. So which poetic device is it? It is anastrophe or inversion. Anastrophe is also called as inversion. Means the correct grammatical prose order is broken for the sake of poetic effect. So you feel that this sentence is not correct. To the Inchcape Rock they go, right? It should be they go to the Inchcape Rock. But in poem, this kind of sentence is correct and it is used, and it is called as a poetic device. And that poetic device is inversion. The other name of inversion is anastrophe. Well, what is the similar of to sell or to continue to be on water? It is float. What is it? Float. Okay, in old days, there used to be oars. Oars, there would be two bamboos, and at the bottom of those bamboos, there would be a flat part, a flat lip-like blade. And with those two oars, the sailor used to row his boat, right? He used to row his boat. He used to steer his boat in the water, right? So the boatmen row to the Inchcape Rock, they go. I told you here it is inversion. Sir Rolf bent over the boat and he cut the bell from the Inchcape Rock. Again, the same kind of AABB rhyme scheme of this stanza also. Dear students, I hope that you understood this part of the poem nicely. If you have any doubt in your mind, please feel free to ask me now. Aryan? Down sunk the bell with a gurgling sound. The bubbles rose and burst around. Quoth Sir Ralph, The next who comes to the rock, next who comes to the rock won't bless the abbot of Aberbrothok. The next who comes to the rock won't bless the abbot of Aberbrothok, because the next who comes will not be warned. The next who comes will not be warned by the Inchcape bell, because the bell that was installed by the abbot of Aberbrothok was cut from the float, and it sunk down with a gurgling sound. When the bell sunk down, bell must be made of metal, and as it was cut down from the float, it went down, it sunk into the sea, and while it's sinking down, there was a gurgling sound, and the bubbles rose as the bell went down. The water inside the bell must have come out, and there was a gurgling sound, and bubbles rose and burst around. Quoth Sir Ralph, quoth means said, the next who comes to the rock, next who come to this side, next who sails to this side, will not bless the abbot of Aberbrothok, will not thank the abbot of Aberbrothok, because they will not be alive to thank him, because they will not be saved from danger, and so they will not thank the abbot of Aberbrothok. So see, quoth is an archaic word. Quoth is an archaic word, and gurgling sound is an onomatopoeic word. Onomatopoeia is a figure of speech. Please note down. O-N-O-M-O. It's not M-O, it is M-A. Onomato, M-A-T-O-P-O-E-I-A. Onomatopoeia is a figure of speech in which the sound of the word suggests its meaning. The sound of the word suggests its meaning, or the sound echoes the sense. When the sound of the word echoes its sense, or when the sound of the word suggests its meaning, then it is called as onomatopoeia. Right? For example, tick-tock, ding-dong, zigzag, gurgling, right? Jingling, all these are zigzag. These are all onomatopoeic words. Their pronunciations suggest us their meanings. Turn the page now. Sir Ralph the rover sailed away. So he cut the bell, he did the evil work he did, and he went away. He sailed away. To sail away means to travel on the ship from one place to another place is sailing away. Sir Ralph the rover sailed away. He scoured the sea for many a days, and then he traveled freely, energetically for ships to rob. He traveled on the ship for many days. He traveled on the sea, robbing many ships for many days. Robbing ships on the sea for many days. He traveled a lot. So scout means, here scout means traveled freely and energetically. Traveled freely and energetically, robbing ships. So he scouted the seas for many a days, and now grown rich with plundered store, he steers his course for Scotland's shore. So he grew rich, he became rich by looting, by robbing many ships on the sea. He traveled a lot on the sea, robbing many ships, looting many ships, and then he became rich because he had looted, he had robbed many ships, and he had huge wealth. He has plundered, he has looted a store of wealth. Plundered store means plundered wealth, robbed wealth. With a robbed wealth, he became very rich. And then he navigated his way, he navigated his ship towards Scotland shore. Decided to go back to Scotland. Scotland shore, shore means the side of the sea, right? Scotland ka kinara. So he steers, he moves his course, he directs his way, he directs his course for Scotland shore. So after looting many ships and traveling for many days, he decided to move back to Scotland again. So he started sailing towards Scotland. So thick a hedge, so thick a hedge overspread the sky. They cannot see the sun on high. The wind had blown a gale all day. At evening it had died away. So thick a haze. Haze means here mist or fog. Duke, aura. So thick, that, dense. So dense, there was very dense fog. So thick haze overspreads the sky. They cannot see the sun on high. There was so thick fog that they cannot see the sun on high. There was so much fog on the sea that they cannot even see the sun. The wind had blown a gale all day. The wind had blown a gale all day, and a whole day the wind was blowing. The whole day the wind has blown. Whole day there was wind, and gale means strong wind. There was strong wind whole day. At evening it had died away. In the evening suddenly the wind had stopped. And in old days there were no engines. There were no engines in old days, right? So the ships could just move only when there is a wind. When there would not be a wind, they would not be able to travel, right? They would not be able to sail or move. The ship would not be able to move from one place to another. The ships would sail only when there would be wind. There would be gale. Gale means a strong wind. So the wind had blown a gale all day, and evening it had died away. It had died away when the wind had stopped. So you know, students, that wind is not a living being, but the wind is said to be dying like living beings. Which figure of speech? Think a bit. I will ask you at the end. Okay, make a bracket to this. The wind had blown a gale all day. At evening, it had died away. Underline the word hath. Right? Has means mist. So thick a haze overspread the sky. So thick a haze overspread the sky. Hath overspreads the sky. But so thick, this is not a correct prose order. Right? The correct grammatical prose order is broken for the sake of poetic effect. This is called inversion, or the other word is anastrophe. So we feel that the sentence is wrong, grammatically wrong, but it is not wrong. It is a poetic device called anastrophe. Okay. So first line is inversion. Then hath, the word hath is archaic word, and then the wind is personified. Non-living thing is treated as if it has life. On the deck, see the next stanza now. On the deck of the rover takes his stand. On the deck the rover takes his stand. So dark it is, they see no land. Quoth Sir Ralph, it will be lighter soon, for there is the dawn of the rising moon. On the deck, rover takes his stand. He took his stand on the ship, on the deck. I told you, deck is either the front part or the back side part of the ship, where the benches are kept and where the people sit and enjoy. And just they sit, relax there. So on the deck he went, and he takes his stand. He took his stand. He sat there for a while, and so dark it is, they see no land. It was thick fog. It was thick fog on the sea, and they could not see land. And quoth Sir Ralph, quoth is archaic word. Quoth means said, right? Quoth Sir Ralph, just as we say Arjun watch. In the same way, Sir Ralph, quoth Sir Ralph, it will be lighter soon. And Sir Ralph said that there would be soon light. It will be lighter soon because there would be a dawn of rising moon. There would be a morning of rising moon. Moon would rise, and soon there would be a morning of the moon. So moonlight would soon come. Okay, so you can see here the dialogue form is used in the poem, students. Quoth, underline quoth is a archaic word. Now let us see the next stanza. Dawn is early in the morning, early morning. Canst hear, said one, the breakers roar. For me think we should be near the shore. Now where we are I cannot tell, but I wish I could hear the Inchcape bell. And the other man with whom he was speaking, the other sailor with him, he must be having his own team, because one man cannot work on the ship. So he must be the head of the complete gang of robbers, pirates. So he said, when he said that it will be lighter soon, and for there would be a dawn of rising moon, and the other fellow said, "Can't hear you, can't." See, we say cannot, but it's archaic English, can't. Instead of has, hath, and instead of said, quoth. So if you are asked, please make it a point to describe that it is archaic word, ancient English. So the breakers roar. Breakers means waves. So roar is a loud sound made by generally by a lion or a tiger, but here loud sound. So breakers were roaring. Breaker means huge waves. The huge waves were roaring now. For me, think we should be near the shore. And he said, there is a loud sound of waves. There is a loud sound of waves. And so we must be near the shore. Because when we reach near the shore, the waves hit on the rocks on the shore and there is a loud roar. So there was a roaring sound. And he thought that they are near the shore. Shore is a similar of coast. There is a difference between bank, beach, shore, and coast. When we talk from defense point of view, we say coastline. And what is India's coastline? Is the area which is protected by Indian Navy. That is coastline, Samudra Kinara. And when we say shore, it is just a Samudra Kinara, normal. But when you talk from defense point of view, right, from the control of the country's point of view, then it is coastline. Generally, it is seashore. And then if it is a sandy side of the sea, then it is sandy side of the sea, then it is beach. And if it is bank, it is not a seashore, it is a river bank. Now, so he said that we must be near the shore because there is a roaring sound of breakers. Now, where are, I cannot tell. And then he says, the other man says, now where we are, I cannot tell, but I wish I could hear the Inchcape bell. But then he said, now where we are, I cannot tell. I cannot tell where we are now, but I think that I wish now that I could hear the Inchcape bell. See, unfulfilled desire, a strong desire that is usually unfulfilled is expressed in this way. I wish is in present tense, and the next clause is in past tense. I wish I could hear. Means if you express any wish in this way, it means that wish is not likely to fulfill. जो इच्छा पूरी नहीं हो सकती है, strong इच्छा है लेकिन पूरी नहीं हो सकती है, that you can express in this way. I wish, and after that the sentence with a past tense, either could or past tense verb. I wish I could hear the Inchcape bell. I wish I could hear the Inchcape bell, but that was not possible because he himself had cut the Inchcape bell from the Inchcape float. They hear no sound, the swell is strong. Though the wind hath fallen, they drift along, till the vessel strikes with a shivering shock. Oh Christ, it's the Inchcape rock! And they hear no sound, and there was no sound. And the swell is strong, and there was a big swell, there was a big rise in the waves of this. There was a big rise in the sea waves, and there the water swelled. The swell is strong, and they could not hear. They hear no sound because there was a roaring sound of the waves. Though the wind had fallen, though the wind had stopped, still there was loud noise of the waves. And though the wind had fallen, they drifted along. They started rolling along. They kept rolling along, though the wind had fallen, till the vessel strikes with a shivering shock. And with a shivering shock, with a shock that vibrated complete ship, with a shock that vibrated complete ship, the ship strikes the Inchcape rock. Vessel means a large ship. Vessel means a large ship. Vessel, यहाँ पे बड़ा जहाज, but vessel may also means a pot. Vessels are the भांडे, वेसल का मतलब बर्तन भी हो सकता है, बट हियर इट मीन्स बहुत बड़ा जहाज. So till the vessel strikes with a shivering shock, shivering means vibrating or kapna, right? Shivering. Oh Christ! And he happened to explain, oh Christ, it is the Inchcape Rock. Oh God, it's the Inchcape Rock. Exclamation, figure of speech. Make bracket to this. Which figure of speech? Exclamation. And Sir Rolf the rover tore his hairs. He cursed himself in his despair. The waves rushed in every side. The ship is sinking beneath the tide. And the Rolf the rover, the robber, the pirates, the sea robber, he tore his own hair. Oh God, right? And he cursed himself. He cursed himself in despair, right? He abused himself in despair, in disappointment and frustration because he could not do anything. It was all the fruit of his own karma, his own deed. He tore his hair with frustration. The waves rushed, and the waves rushed as the ship hit the Inchcape Rock. It must have been broken, and the waves rushed means with to move with great force, and the waves moved in great force from every side into the ship, and the ship is sinking beneath the tide, and the ship is sinking beneath the waves. He realized this is the waves rush every side, the ship is sinking beneath the tide wave. But even in his dying fear, one dreadful sound could the rover hear, a sound as if with the Inchcape bell, the devil below was ringing the knell. And even in that even in that dying fear, even in his dying fear, even in that fearful noise of ship breaking and ship shaken by as it crashed on the Inchcape Rock, when it was broken, there was a loud sound, and there was all the ship was shuddered, and he had a fear of death in his mind. But even at that time, one dreadful sound he could hear. The rower could hear the sound, and that terrible sound, a sound as if with the Inchcape bell, as if the devil, Satan, as if the devil was holding that bell below and ringing his knell. KNEL, knell means a death bell. Generally, when someone dies in a church, a bell rings. A bell rings in a church if someone passes away in a village, right? And that is called the bell rings, the bell tolls when someone dies in the church. So he thinks that the devil was ringing the bell of his death at the bottom of the sea with the Inchcape bell that he has cut off. Even in that fearful dying fear, one dreadful sound could the rover hear, a sound as if with the Inchcape bell, the devil below was ringing his knell. His death bell was being rung by the devil that he could hear even in the dying fear. So, dear students, what is the moral of this poem? If I tell you to summarize it in one line, how will you summarize it? Yes? Yeah, what is the message of this poem? Vaishnavi? Nikita, what is the message of this poem? Come on fast. What is the message of this poem? So, the message of this poem is quite clear. As you sow मतलब बोना, पेरने. As you sow, so shall you reap. As you sow, so shall you reap. जैसा बोया वैसा पाओगे.